Holosky Podcast. We're your host. I'm Steven.
And Kyle.
And it's Monday, Holocult. You know what that means. We're here to hang out with you and kickstart this work week with some weirdness. So, thank you for choosing us. Thanks for making us part of your day, your drive to work, your drive from work, maybe part of your work as a whole. We're going to come back in with the second part of our Lake City Quiet Pills episode. So if you haven't listened to the first episode from last week, go back and check that out because you're going to want some of this precursor information before we get into what's about to go down here today. Before we can get into that, if you're new here and you just want to listen to the show, fast forward to about 5 minutes because that's how this works. Got to get through the business. So check us out at all our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Reddit. Search up the Holosky Podcast. We'll be there. Come join the cult. Be part of the community. It's a good time. If you have a listener experience you'd like for us to feature on a future show under that same moniker, Kyle's got some information that you're going to want.
I do. It's easy peasy. You just check the show notes if you get lost, but you write your story out, shoot it over to the email. It's going to be housekeeping.com. All right, housekeeping podcast@gmail.com. A little bit of a brain fart there.
It's fine.
It happens.
They'll get it figured out.
Yeah. Once again, hey, I got lost this time.
Smart listeners.
I should have checked the show notes, right? That's what I should have done. Should have took my own advice. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. Anyways, shoot it over to the email. We'll put it in the patented filing system, and we'll get it out there, baby. Get it out there.
It's easy as that.
Yeah.
If you'd like to support the show, there's plenty of ways you can do it. We have a Patreon. You can go over there and check that out. For a mere $7 a month, you can get extra shows, early access to shows, ad-free shows, Casket Breath jams, and occasionally a coupon to the old Holo store. Holo store, you say? Yes, holoskypodcast.com.
Yeah, I got you covered there.
Kyle already mentioned it. There's shirts, hats, stickers, probably some new hats in the works. I know we mentioned it, working on it. Bear with us. Bear with us. All kinds of good stuff to rep the Holocult. Best thing you can do is share the show word of mouth. Constantly put Holosky out there. Hit me up with your shipping address. I'll send you some QR stickers to where you can vandalize your whole community and anywhere. Police cars, fire hydrants, big theater screens.
Spread the word.
Movies, just anything, anywhere. Urinals, that's just how it works. I'll ship them out to you. You can also hit us with a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts, which is awesome. Again, we're recording this the same night we recorded the last one, so we're at 995 now. We're almost to 1K. Just need 5 more good words, and we'll be at 1K. Today's 5-star, this week's 5-star rating and review comes to us from our friend Mac and Hashtag. Mac and Hashtag. It's not hashtag the words, it's the actual hashtag. Mackin says, paranormal, 5 stars. Y'all never disappoint and always crack me up. Love having Holosky to look forward to every week. Well, Mackin,
thank you.
We love having you to look forward to every week.
That's right.
Because you guys are the meat of Holosky. It'd just be me and Kyle talking.
This is true. It would just be unaired greatness. Mm-hmm. That the world would miss.
They would probably be sad too.
So without your motivation, this doesn't happen.
So let's keep it rolling. Speaking of keeping it rolling, 4 minutes and 10 seconds. I shaved off about a minute on that one. We're getting streamlined.
Speeding her up, baby. We're aerodynamic.
We are. Again, if you didn't listen to last week's episode, now would be a good time to not listen to this one and listen to last week's. I'll do just a tiny callback before we get into the business. So Lake City Quiet Pills. It all started out with a Reddit user named Religion of Peace who hosted a scummy, grimy subreddit with scantily clad women who also hosted an image site with the same scantily clad women. Said user ends up passing away. Another Reddit user creates a post talking about the passing of Religion of Peace here. And this drives Redditors over to this image hosting site called LakeCityQuietPills.com. Reddit does what Reddit does best, starts digging into these two guys, and the front that is an image hosting site of pornographic images turns out to be essentially a hidden smokescreen for military contracts. And where we stopped last week, these posts were all hidden in the HTML code of this website, right? There was all kinds of different things. Like we need a group of 8 to go to Asia. We need a group of 10 to go to Europe to do this job, yada, yada, yada. The last one we heard was this one right here from the second Redditor named Angel26. He says, "Happy New Year, everyone. We're having a birthday party for the old man," meaning Religion of Peace and Milo. "This is on the 19th. The party starts at 1500 as at the usual. Send your RSVP to Shade. FYI, we're booking a room for 3 days for anyone coming out of the area and overnight for locals. Come hoist one for Dutch Milo." And this was posted in the HTML code of Lake City Quiet Pills. Just sounds like a simple party, but as we have come to know from the last episode, it is never just a simple party.
I'm also curious that they word it the way they do, because it makes it feel like they know they're being watched, or they assume that at one point they will be found.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like it's possible that these dudes are all ex-military in whatever fashion, but it almost feels like it's not sanctioned.
Like
it's not CIA.
Oh, yeah. Like
it would be like you and me getting out of the military and being like, dude, I missed the action.
Like it's legit black ops.
Yeah,
like a covert, not even, sanction's a good word. Yeah. Like no alphabet group is behind it. These are just some old heads.
And I say that because
doing work.
Because like military contractors, spec ops, CIA, we all know they're sophisticated. Why would they take the opportunity to hide it on a random Reddit page? You know what I'm saying? Like that they could easily have their own crazy ass. They have their own crazy ass computer systems.
It would never even need to make it out here.
Exactly. So it makes me really contemplate that these dudes are the best at what they did, and they're like, let's make some money.
Yeah, it does feel like some underground black market hit shit.
Yeah, because like we said in the first episode, hiding shit in HTML is not that difficult.
No, and like it worked. It worked exceptionally well until it got so much attention on itself, because essentially some nerds on Reddit cracked it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep, exactly.
Which it does. It does. Like it feels like a bunch of just ex-military that were looking. Clearly we know this kind of thing takes place.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So hitmen and assassins aren't strictly military, ties, right?
Yeah.
If you have a very rich, they don't even have to be a political person or whatever. You pay money to guys like this to get rid of things you want to get rid of.
Yep. You're talking. You could run the gamut on all of it, but a number one clientele is going to be high paying crime syndicates.
Yep.
That's going to be a huge one right there.
Yep.
And like I said, you're not going to A, tax free, B, you're not talking small sums of money either.
No.
You know that you're going to be making big bucks for what's going down.
Yep.
Even a hardcore protection detail would probably score you quite a bit of cash.
Yep. So that was the last post, and many have interpreted it not to be a party at all. They think that this code that appeared in the HTML of Lake City Quiet Pills may have been tied to one of the most intricate assassinations of the last century. That's where I left you hanging last week. Here we go. I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but he's not here to complain about it, so I don't know what to tell him. Muhammad al-Mabua was born in a refugee camp along the Gaza Strip in 1960. During his teenage years in the 70s, he joined the Muslim Brotherhood, and as a young adult, he ended up getting into some legal trouble, resulting in a brief jail time. After his release from prison in the mid-80s, al-Mabua began to associate with Hamas, the organization that petitions for the creation of the Palestinian state. Many consider it a terrorist organization, but it also has been serving as the governing body for the Gaza Strip for more than a decade. All these names are pretty at the forefront of the news right now since there is a war going on.
It is rather ironic.
Yes. Over the next 2.5 decades, Mahmoud al-Mahab earned his reputation in Hamas. In particular, he claimed credit for the 1989 killing of 2 Israeli soldiers, both of whom were killed in separate incidents. This made him one of Israel's most wanted. He followed up with several decades of his service to Hamas. In addition to spending time in an Egyptian prison and becoming wanted by the intel community in Jordan, he continued to rise up the ranks of Hamas. By mid-2000s, he was serving as the chief of logistics and weapons procurement for the military wing of the organization. So he was pretty high up there. He was playing a vital role in the burgeoning relationships between Hamas and Iran's Revolutionary Guards, and clearly this made him a target.
Well, you said Israel had a bounty on his head, right?
Yes.
So right there, that's a payday and incentive for these guys to go after him.
Yep. Toward the end of the 2000s, he became the target of multiple different assassination attempts. First, a car bomb failed to kill him. Not many details have been released about this to the Western media, only that it had failed. The second attempt was more intricate, as detailed by Wire and GQ magazine. Quote, the elite team of orchestrating the kill tried to poison Mahmoud al-Mabua. God, I'm so bad at saying that.
That's perfect.
Yeah. In November of 2009 in Dubai, the unknown toxin probably slipped into a drink or placed on the fixtures in a hotel room, left al-Mabua mysteriously ill, but not fatally so. He recovered from the illness without knowing he had ever been poisoned. Man, can you?
That's crazy.
You get poisoned and not know you're poisoned?
That's nuts.
A, that wasn't very good poison, but B, it was also a really good poison to make you not know that you're poisoned.
Yeah. That sucks.
So because he was unaware of this second attempt on his life, he kind of just continued to live with his normal security precautions, where if there was a second attempt, you think you beef that shit up. He lived in Syria, traveled all over the Middle East, conducting business on behalf of Hamas. He traveled under fake names, using fake passports, and more often than not, traveled with a whole gaggle of security guards. Unbeknownst to him, there had been a security breach on his computer. The computer he used to arrange his travel had been compromised by a Trojan horse, which allowed an outsider to access all of his dealings and all of his going on. In early January 2010, he booked a flight to Dubai to arrange for hotel accommodations for at least 2 days. On his trip, he was not going to be followed by bodyguards who would arrive a day after him. For at least 24 hours, he would be in a foreign nation, isolated and alone. Someone with this knowledge began making travel accommodations of their own. On January 19th, 2010, Mahmoud arrived in Dubai, the largest and richest city in the United Arab Emirates. He was flying alone under a fake name with no security. Earlier that day, his trip had been preceded by a small network of men and women, numbering around 24 in total. These individuals had arrived in Dubai using fake names and passports of their own. They began coordinating efforts to track al-Mabua. This operation was led by at least 3 coordinators, all of whom were working under assumed fake names: Gail Folliard, Kevin Daveron, and Peter Elvinger. These 3 had coordinated at least 5 trips to Dubai, presumably to surveil the region and do reconnaissance for what was about to come. Mahmoud arrived in Dubai shortly after 3 p.m. local time. From the moment he landed, he was followed by a network of operatives. Men and women began to mix and match, following him out of the airport, to his cab, and to the hotel he was staying at. Prior to his arrival, 6 operatives had checked into the hotels in the region, all the hotels he had stayed at prior to his visit. They wanted to cover their bases and make sure they had feet on the ground to find out which room he was staying at and exactly when he was in it. They likely knew the ins and outs of each hotel. They were waiting for the lobbies of every hotel, they were waiting in the lobbies of every hotel upon his arrival. So this is big time shit.
There must have been a pretty decent payday.
Yeah.
Get that many operators over there and just go into every hotel. Just, you know what? Let's just get operators in all of them till we figure out where he's actually at.
And if this was contracted out by another country's military to make it look like it wasn't another country's military, I mean, there's not really much of a price you can put on that.
Yeah, right.
Where our hands, how much would you pay to keep your hands clean?
They would probably pay a significant amount.
Yeah. We know this because security footage picked up these operatives, numbering around a dozen in total, following him from afar. On at least 2 occasions, these men and women would enter restrooms briefly to change their disguises, don a wig, or exchange items of clothing. This footage also shows him arriving at the Albuston Rotana Hotel, where 2 men were standing in the lobby, wearing tennis gear and holding tennis rackets. As he makes his way to his hotel room, one operative remains in the lobby and begins reporting in to the other operatives on an electronic device. At this point, the other operatives, who are all in hotels in the surrounding regions, begin to converge on this location. The other man wearing tennis gear begins to follow him to his hotel room, eventually learning that he's staying in room 230. He doesn't act yet, but just pretends like he's heading back to his own hotel room. Upon learning the room number of their target, one of the mission's leaders, the man whose passport named him as Peter Elvinger, makes a phone call from a business center of another hotel room nearby. He requests the room directly across the hall from Al-Mabua's room, 237. This would act as the base of operations for the other operatives, who begin to meet up and assemble in that room shortly thereafter. Al-Mabua would leave his room shortly thereafter, heading to a nearby mall. Their security coverage of his whereabouts would become spotty, but a couple of these unknown operatives tracked him throughout. It was rumored that he was meeting up with some local contacts, but that was mostly speculative. There was no actual evidence that happened. Nonetheless, the operatives now began to assemble in 237, take this time to begin hacking into the door's electronic locks, figuring out a way to access Mabua's room without attracting any attention at all. Again, this is all being captured by the security cameras of the hotel. When another hotel guest walks out of a nearby elevator, one of the operatives attempts to distract them while the other operative continues working on the lock. They make short work of the door's lock. When Mabua returns to the room around 8:30 p.m., he has no suspicions whatsoever. The door unlocks normally. He enters, completely and totally unaware that there are a handful of individuals already inside his room waiting for him.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Roughly 20 minutes later, the operatives in room 230 begin to exit the room and return to 237. Within moments, they begin to exit the hotel room one by one, with all their belongings in tow. Within 4 hours, almost all of these men and women have completely exited Dubai entirely, with their flights taking them all across the globe. Frankfurt, Bangkok, Zurich, Rome, Johannesburg, Paris, Doha. Mahmoud, on the other hand, would never leave his hotel room. At around the same time the assassins were leaving his room, he missed a phone call from his wife. His body would not be discovered until the very next morning, roughly 12 hours after he'd been killed. When the hotel staff checked on him the next morning, January 20th, 2010, they noted that the door was locked from the inside. This included a chain lock, which the assassin somehow managed to lock from outside of the door. This made the death appear natural, and investigators originally noted the death being as one from natural causes, which is expert shit there.
Yeah. Did they elaborate on natural causes at all, or
I'm
attack,
assuming
aneurysm?
Probably that, because they said after a thorough autopsy, it revealed that there was nothing natural about this man's death. It had been a carefully crafted assassination, plain and simple. Prior to his death, Mabua had been injected with a fast-acting muscle relaxant named cut me some slack here. Acetylcholine?
Yep.
Nailed it.
I've heard of it.
which is a paralyzing agent, which is not going to be good if it didn't kill him.
That sucks.
Despite remaining conscious throughout the preceding events, he was unable to resist, despite his attempts to do so, as police would later note. He was then tortured, which they don't go into very many specifics, except that it was noted that he was definitely electrocuted prior to his death. When he was finally killed, it came via suffocation by a pillow. That way, when his body was found, it would look natural, at least long enough for the assassins to leave the scene of the crime as well as the United Arab Emirates. So, that's like some big boy shit there.
Yeah, that's no joke. Not to mention, pretty amazing that they can lock the chain lock on their way out.
Through an electric lock. Like, you think an electric lock would be pretty fucking solid.
Yeah.
This old boy's not just going to stay in like some Super 8, I'm glad I'm not on their list.
That's no doubt. Because it wouldn't be too hard.
No, that is crazy. Dubai officials were able to recreate the movement of the assassins on the day of the killing due to the security camera footage that they were able to recover from the region. It showed that all of these operatives, numbering around a dozen in total, had arrived just earlier that day, January 19th. They also left shortly after the killing. This, however, was not their first visit. Almost all these men and women had visited Dubai numerous times in the preceding months. Visits that were likely dry runs for this very assassination, allowing them to get a feel for the hotels, the quickest routes between locations. They checked into various hotels in the region, each of them being hotels that Al-Mabua had previously stayed in. So they were doing their background research.
Also worthy to note, because it's impressive, terrifying, and kind of awesome, the fact that because this guy was by himself, right? And when we think of assassins, we think of one.
Yeah.
The fact that these motherfuckers hunt in a pack.
He was not making it the fuck out of Dubai.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. And if they do this for one guy, I would be willing to bet that they hunt in a pack far more often than not, which is extra terrifying.
Just the terminology and the mental picture I'm putting as assassins hunting in packs is
so scary, dude.
I don't want to have to deal with one assassin.
That's what I'm saying. Because when we think of assassins, we think of one individual who is a expert in their craft.
Lone wolf.
Yeah, to go in, get the job done, leave. It's minimal, it's less likely of being caught. But the fact that these dudes work in a pack, not to mention, it really does suggest military personnel working in the unit.
Yeah. They were, even if he decided to change his hotel room, they're
ready.
People in every hotel that he had ever stayed in Dubai.
Ready. And not to mention when they're trailing him, they're dipping off, changing outfits, putting wigs on. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And you have to have a big, like somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing on the intel side to get into a high ranking military. I mean, I assume that you would have to have somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing to get some kind of Trojan into a high ranking military official's computer, especially one where it keeps it where he's going to be, what he's doing, what he's tracking, all this shit.
Not to mention, think about how intimate they had knowledge on that they fucking poisoned him without anyone even knowing he was poisoned.
Yeah.
He didn't even know he was poisoned.
That's
intimate knowledge.
Are you the best poisoner? Are you the best poisoner or the worst poisoner? Right. If you poison someone where they don't know they're poisoned and they don't die.
Yeah.
So this network of operatives had all been using fake passports every time they came to Dubai, which came predominantly from Western nations, including the UK, Ireland, Australia, France, and Germany, who were all now drug into this issue without any knowledge that they were ever a part of this issue. In addition, several of these operatives had made phone calls to a number in Austria, who may have been their coordinator. While some of the assassins had paid their way in cash, many of them had used a Payoneer, which is a specific type of prepaid credit card at the time. These credit cards had been branded in the United States, but it was rumored that the CEO of Payoneer Yuval Tal had direct ties to Israeli intelligence. Due to the victim being a high-ranking member of Hamas, as well as being a long-sought target of the intelligence forces, it almost kind of played out that maybe Israel was involved in some fashion. In February of 2010, the chief of Dubai police publicly stated that this assassination was most likely ordered by Mossad, Israeli intelligence force, who had wanted both justice and revenge against al-Mabua for several years at this point. Israel didn't deny the claim, instead choosing to just fake confusion or, quote, muddy the water of the investigation. Israel's foreign minister even stated that the international press was watching, quote, too many James Bond movies.
Also, another note here that I've just thought about. If the odds are high, which I feel like they are, that an organization like Mossad or a country's government is behind this, let's really soak this next statement in, because I think it has shitloads of weight. Imagine the reputation this unit must hold.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that these assholes are essentially working off the book on fucking Reddit under not so good cover.
Yeah, I was going to say just on some shitty hosting site that one of them put together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when you have agents like Mossad, the CIA, all these other massive organizations that would be way, I feel like anyways, don't know how they operate. I feel like way better at covering their tracks. But the fact that a country would contact this unit
crazy
to take on this operation is asinine.
It almost makes you feel like they didn't just want to kill him.
Oh no, I bet they got intel out of him.
And probably did some bad.
Yeah, the fact that they electrocuted him and stuff. Yeah, that's not hit.
And the fact that the police hinted he tried to fight back.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he definitely got tortured for a while for intel. Guaranteed. And these guys are probably really good at what they do. Obviously, really good at what they do. And I don't know. It just blows my mind that someone like a country would reach out to this unit for an operation like that, because like I said, their reputation must be fucking crazy. It has to be.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want to drop, you're not going to reach out to someone that you even contemplate would drop the ball on this, because amateurs like that would flip if they got caught. They'd flip.
And it makes you wonder if maybe the first 2 assassination attempts were from their military.
Could have been.
They couldn't get the job done.
Could have been.
And they're like, all right, we're not going 0-3 on this bitch.
Yeah, could have been.
Which is, I don't know. It's crazy. Watching too many James Bond movies, says the Israel Prime Minister. Anyway, that didn't stop several nations from vilifying the assassination or the assassins responsible and placing them all on Interpol's most wanted list later that month. A total of hold on, let me try that again. A total of 18 operatives were named, but because they had all been using fake identities at the time of the operation, it was unknown who they were. So they're on Interpol under their fake names because nobody knows who the fuck they are. Pictures of 11 of these operatives would be distributed by Interpol, and to this day, they remain unidentified by the world as a whole.
So odds are governments were involved.
Oh yeah. This assassination led to some international condemnation when it was announced by Britain's Foreign Office that the passports used had been fakes. The French Foreign Affairs Ministry claimed the same, and that ultimately led to Ireland's Department of Foreign Affairs to critique the nation of Israel. According to Irish officials, Israel had helped create and distribute these fraudulent passports and demanded answers. This led to some heightened tensions that were only escalated by Australia later that year. Foreign Minister Stephen Smith publicly summoned Israeli ambassador to explain this incident and later ceased cooperation with Israel intelligence. In the process, he had expelled an Israeli diplomat and kept the story in the international press through the end of 2010. So it was a big deal, essentially. Not so much here, because I don't remember hearing about it, but everywhere else, apparently it had a lot of stirring ups.
Yeah, it's crazy that also that it, in Dubai's eyes, it drug all these other nations in too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Because I don't know. Like, because one of my gut, right when you were telling the part where they dispersed to different countries, my gut was like, well, that doesn't mean that they stayed in those countries.
No, that's what I thought too. Just like, scatter and meet up in a week.
Yeah, you could literally go. You could fly into China or wherever with this disguise on, this passport, and then have another burner passport waiting in that country, jump another plane to another country, and they would...
Yeah, nobody would know.
The trail stops in this country.
Yep, nobody would know. Crazy.
It's awesome.
It is some spy shit.
It's cool. I like it. I love action stories, man. Fucking great.
The United States, of course, refused to cooperate with the investigations handled by the United Arab Emirates. U.S. officials refused to hand over the cardholder details of the Payoneer credit cards used by the assassins, which likely would shed light on who exactly bankrolled the operation, which that in itself, a little sussy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
A little sussy. All the operatives involved in the assassination remain unidentified to this day, despite the international press and virtually the entire civilized world having access to 11 of their faces, which you can find on the internet now. These operatives, numbering anywhere between 18 and 28, have seemingly just vanished. Like they never existed in the first place.
Well, hopefully for their sake, they didn't just get clipped.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility.
It is a possibility that they're in an unmarked grave somewhere.
Isn't it? And it's also fucking crazy. Like, because people are going to be like, well, Angel 2.6 could have went back and wrote this before this happened. No, he wrote about the party before the assassination. And the assassination happened to line up exactly with the party for the old man.
Yeah, it is ironic.
It makes you wonder if maybe Milo had been working and putting this hit together, passed away.
Could have.
2.6 is like, hey, we're just going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Keep it going for the old man.
Could have. It's forever going to blow my mind that there's literally a clandestine unit out there, that literally governments use. That's fucking crazy.
It's great. It is crazy.
Like, it speaks to the capabilities of the unit.
What they're willing to do.
Yeah.
Especially if they can get shit done that like legit sanctioned units fail to do so, or even it could be so much that they just don't like, we don't want to fuck with that. Like, that's too much of a PR nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, because some of these actions could draw countries into war.
Yeah, I mean, clearly there was like heightened turmoil between multiple countries after this one.
Not to mention, I meant to say it in the first one, but the setup they have is also interesting. How after the old man died, they split the bankroll.
Yeah,
they split his savings, which typically speaking, that's not a thing. If his money was legitimately within his savings account, I feel like you're probably not going to have an easy time getting your hands on that money.
They had referenced a will though, so I'm wondering.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they said that if to the operators that worked from 2005 to 2006, let us know. He's like, because I guess everyone that operated within that gets a cut. Because they said Milo was loaded, and the cut ended up being like $3,000 to $4,000 a person.
But you see that unless governments are involved, that's not a very smart plan, because then that means the will, unless they're using fake identification and stuff, but the will specifically name individuals, which could lead to the capture or arrest of said individuals.
It could even go so far as that it was like a verbal kind of thing. Like, I'm going to leave all this money to one person, but I trust that one person to divvy this up to my crew.
Yeah, true.
So,
true.
I mean, it still linked together.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. I just kind of took it as like a clandestine unit / bank, like banking format, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Where I guess essentially you would have I don't know what I picture, kind of like having a safe that you have your money in, and then if Kyle passes on this mission, Kyle wants it to where we split everything that he's earned, take his cut, because you can't just move that money around. Not to mention, it was stated that old boy didn't have any family.
Yeah.
He had nobody, essentially, aside from the unit.
Which is,
I don't know. It's fun. Awesome. It's fun to think about. It really is.
I don't condone political assassination.
No,
the fact that there's
fun to think about.
The fact that there's a group of hard asses that just meet up for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah.
Not to mention, I love the fact that, because it's a weather balloon. The fact that the country completely downplayed it was like, you watched too many fucking James Bond movies. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, come on.
They're just waiting for that check to clear.
It's 100% like a weather balloon scenario where it's like a fucking open mockery where they're just like, really?
Yeah. You think this was a spy?
Yeah.
Like, catch it, motherfucker. 2 men were arrested by authorities in the United Arab Emirates shortly after the crime. 2 Palestinian men that were living in Jordan at the time, who were later extradited by the UAE. Both were accused of being both weren't accused of being assassins, but rather just middlemen who helped arrange accommodation for the various operatives involved. However,
was that true? Was that verified?
An article published in June of 2017 details how neither of these men had been charged in the interim 7 years. So
I was going to say, because if that was true, then they 100% had a bead on the unit then.
Yeah. Or at least the aliases the unit was using. Because,
True.
I mean, being middlemen could be as easy as like, hey, if someone comes up to you and be like, hey, can you book me a stay here for this weekend?
Right.
And you're like, all right, you seem legit. That's fine.
Yeah,
oh, you murdered a political
True.
party member? Now I'm fucked. But yeah, 2017, neither of the men have been charged in the remaining 7 years. Rather, details on how neither of these men had been charged in the interim 7 years. Rather, they had been charged, but were convicted in a secret court where the parameters of their conviction remained an undisclosed secret, which I don't know.
The fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, a secret court. I have no idea.
What is a secret court?
Both have been living freely in the United Arab Emirates since their arrest, implying that their punishment was pretty much nil. So we're going to say they probably were not charged and convicted.
Yeah.
Another man nicknamed Brodsky was arrested in Poland in June of 2010. He was later extradited to Germany, where he was supposed to stand trial for crimes related to the assassination. There, however, he was soon released on bail and seemingly disappeared into thin air, just like the other assassins. It's like a movie.
Wild. It is like a movie.
It's like a fucking movie.
It 100% is. And like I said,
they're like, damn it, Brodsky.
I think it's still justifiably on the table that the unit got dispatched. Yeah, I think that's reasonably on the table. But I also think it's reasonably on the table that these people were so good at what they did. And essentially what they did at the end of the day is they burnt the aliases.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because let's be honest, back in, you know what? Let's be even more honest. CCTV footage today is not that great.
Yeah.
So it's not that hard to change your appearance enough
to be a
ghost, man.
To be a ghost.
Outside of having, I mean, I know that just about anybody can be found in today's world, but outside of having fingerprints and all, there's so much stuff so much tradecraft that we are not even remotely privy to.
Yep.
That's why that tradecraft is still a reality, because it's still feasible to degrees.
And it's crazy. It's crazy that a group, especially you have to rightfully assume that they're all ex-military.
Oh, 100%.
Can move like ghosts anywhere they want.
Yeah, that's why I think for sure they are ex special forces and stuff like that, because the way they hunted in the pack like that, I don't feel like that comes between the den of thieves.
No. That's even they even had like radio communication. Like you see the guy, like, how would you like to be the tennis racket guy? Like, Kyle, today you're gonna act like you're playing tennis over at the old Rabotin Hotel, right?
Cool.
Kyle be there, his silver hair all slick back,
My sweet fucking short shorts.
Yeah, sweater tied around your waist.
Oh yeah.
The old boy walks by and Kyle's on his like Apple Watch, but they didn't exist back then.
I got this bitch.
He's in the sights. Sealed. Red team go. Red team go.
There would be a level of addiction to that is probably undeniable.
That's why they were like chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
It's crazy that like multiple jobs are posted up. Now, granted, probably not all of them are assassination, probably recon, probably
I'm sure there's all types of shit. Yeah.
Intelligence intel and stuff, but like it was if real.
I think it's the coolest thing is that governments use this clandestine unit. I think it's the coolest fucking thing that I've ever heard. I really do, because like I said, despite the fact that they're ex-military, they essentially have severed the ties to every government. They have no loyalty to anyone.
Yeah. Whoever's going to cash their check,
it's literally just a bunch of badasses that got together and was like, "Hey, let's make some fucking money."
Oh yeah, and that's
and like so much so that their reputation leaked out into the world amongst the elite, and the elite goes, "Hey, I know who we can use."
It does feel like a movie.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I feel like Vin Diesel's a part of it.
Probably.
So, despite being one of the most high-profile, successful assassinations in our modern world, it remains completely unanswered in regards to who was involved and why it happened. So, we kind of have a pretty good idea, but who actually pulled it off is just completely unknown.
Yeah, I honestly don't give a fuck what the reasoning was. I personally want to know what they called the unit. I want a name, because it's definitely not the Lake City Quiet Pills. That's not the unit name. They definitely called themselves something.
Yeah, probably something dope.
But yeah, definitely cool. 100%.
Especially if they came up with Lake CityQuiet Pills, because that's kind of dope in itself.
It is kind of cool. I just want to know the unit name, and I wish there was speculation on more that they've done, because I want to, like, now I'm invested. I want to keep hearing stories about the unit. That's what I want.
I bet somewhere on the internet, full logs of the codes in the HTML are probably out there. And I wouldn't be shocked if some nerd sat down and could correlate the time periods with other interesting happenings.
I could see it.
Yeah. So now that we've went through the assassination, we're going to go back to the codes that were stated there. There was a message sent out on January 12th, 2010, just about a week before the assassination unfolded in Dubai. The message invited people out to a birthday celebration for Milo, aka Religion of Peace. It was the one I read earlier. A Reddit user that had died a year prior. The message in the Lake City Quiet Pills code stated that the party started around 1500, roughly fitting in with the time period that Al-Mabua was to fly into Dubai. As if that wasn't enough, another message was sent out the day before the assassination took place. Like the prior messages, this one was also hidden in the HTML. Quote, "We got 38 rooms in Marriott on 46. Shade is given the key cards for locals. Pick up at the party. Give your travel name at the desk, and that's it. No ID needed since we're covering the bill. Keep the room service under $500, okay? The phones there are not secure. Bus from the hotel leaves at 13:30. Car service vouchers for return trip when you're ready to crash. Do not DUI. Which sounds coded, but there is a lot of implications in what those said codes could be. Especially like if it's a party, why would you need to know that the phones are not secure?
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like do not DUI is a code like, hey, don't fuck this up.
Yeah. Stay frosty. Stay aware. Don't be dumb.
Yep. As one of my sources here says, I might be sounding picky, but these instructions seem very odd for a party. Who needs to worry about using a travel name for a birthday party? Who needs to worry about insecure phone lines? And I feel like this is a last reminder, do not get a DUI. That was capitalized in a bunch of exclamation points behind it. Is advice that grown adults do not need to be told. If it implied any legal entanglements that could be messy, then I can see maybe it making more sense, but not so much. Many Redditors have tried to decipher what this could have meant, but the most obvious lead comes from the multiple hotel rooms. What kind of party rents out 38 rooms in a single hotel? Plus, knowing what we know about the investigation in Dubai, that network of assassins totaled above 24 and had rented out hotel rooms in hotels all throughout the city, which kind of lines up more with 38 rooms.
It does.
Which is fucking crazy.
Like I said, I could not. I could not. And furthermore, let's imagine the payday that gets divvied up by at least 24 people.
Yeah.
It enticed a 24, at least 24 people, assumingly 38, to go on the hunt.
It's crazy.
And not to mention, once again, I'm going to reiterate how fucking terrifying it is that upwards of 38 professionals came from one man.
That is nuts.
That is absolutely horrifying. Those odds are greatly stacked against you, my friend.
Yeah, they made sure
you were done before it even started.
There had to be such a payday that he was not leaving Dubai.
It had to have been massive to be divvied up amongst those.
Yeah.
Unless there was some type of homage to Milo, there's a massive payday. Massive, ungodly payday.
So, upon investigating, there was no visible activity on LakeCityQuietPills.com for the next couple of weeks, at least none pertaining specifically to the party. The site continued to exist as a photo dump full of images that were mostly pornographic in nature, but the messages hidden in the code remained unchanged until February 2nd, 2010, roughly 2 weeks after the assassination. Hidden code was posted titled Party Bills and read as follow. Here's the final for the party. Hotel rooms, 48,341. Limo, 6,080. Bus, 569. Bar bill, 18,890. Food, 8,030. Dancers, 8,300. Miscellaneous tips, 850. Miscellaneous expenses, 2,840. Medical supplies, 180. In parentheses, Fat Tommy and Stu are okay. Total, $94,080. You all did Dutch Milo proud. Thank you. Over the next, and I mean, you could do, I don't even know what to make of that. Don't even know what to make of that shit.
Who the fuck spends $95,000 or whatever the fuck it was?
Could that be some sort of weird divvy up between the people that I don't even know, bro.
Well, I you know what? I did read somewhere that typically when, not that it applies in this, but I was digging through some back channels the other day, and apparently it is a thing for them when they list numbers like this to leave zeros off the end.
Oh, that makes it even fucking wilder.
Because I was seeing numbers of like 1,000, And it was being explained that typically in this situation you would add at least a 10 to that number.
That's crazy.
So you could be talking if this applies, if this
almost
is a thing,
$1 million payout.
If this is a tradecraft type situation, you could assume a 0 behind every one of them amounts, and you're talking large amounts of money. And I'd be willing to bet if governments are involved, you're probably talking way more than $1 million.
Yep. Yeah.
Because $1 million amongst 38 people.
Yeah. Which kind of, I mean, and I don't even know. That could be just a charge for them being there. Not even a charge for the act,
Could be.
Sending this out. This is what you need to send to said government. This is
interesting that two dudes got hurt.
Yeah. Which could be just a ploy for
absolutely
or anything.
Yeah.
Over the next few months, people involved with the site continue to post the strange hidden job postings from before. Here's a few. Quote, immediate need for Korean, fluent Korean dialect, accent details after contract, 6-week half pay sequester on refusal, 6-month gig bonus. Next, 2, business class security, non-con US, fluent French required. 2, light surveil, no US wet work, no Mexico wet work. This all continued until around the spring of 2010, around 2 months after the assassination. That's when the curious Redditors finally began poking around the source code of Lake City Quiet Pills and uncovered these strange hidden messages. Up until then, this had all been unfolding under the surface, so they didn't even uncover it until after it had happened. Which is probably feel like once the Redditors feel it, they're about ready to pull out.
Yeah, I feel like discovering it after the fact is probably beneficial to the people who discovered it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Because if you're trying to bust this, like, I don't know, man. Like, if I had stumbled onto this, I don't even, like, if you and me stumbled on this right now,
we would be too dumb to crack the codes.
Not only that, but I don't know that I would air it.
No. Well,
no.
Might make good internet.
I'm good, man.
Yeah,
I'm good. Because at bare minimum, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not one specific unit of people. Maybe these fucking crazy asses created a network where, say, I come from Rangers, you come from Spetsnaz, and there's some type of underground connection out there where it's like, hey, if you're the baddest of the bad, you want to make some money, essentially being a way off the book contractor, enter into our network. And so it's like, I don't know how it's like being a contractor where, because they're asking for if we're going to go off description, like asking for 4 Koreans is rather specific.
Yep.
So you could assume, I guess, because, people do travel and live in different countries. But you could assume this is a network across the world. And I don't feel like, because the way I was wording it earlier is that this is a unit, but
it's a web.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it was one specific unit, you wouldn't be asking for 4 of anything. Because assumingly so, you may not have 4 of anything in that unit.
It almost feels like these sects, I guess, all exist in their own countries.
Yeah.
And when something big comes up, and like say Milo's your head main contractor. Yeah. He contracts this in said country, but he's stationed out of America.
Actually, you know what? The best example, you may not get it because you don't watch cool movies.
Not wrong.
But literally the best example that could be placed here, which is actually really fucking weird.
Biodome.
Close. John Wick. Have you watched John Wick?
No.
Okay. John Wick is an assassin, right? Baba Yaga, he's the baddest of the bad. However, they work through an organization where hits will get put into the fund of the system, and that hit will go out to the network of hitmen. It'll be like, Kyle has a bounty of $10 million. Whoever can confirm the hit on that will get said money. However, it goes to everyone.
That would be even worse.
Yeah. That's essentially what ends up happening. But it's kind of like that to a varying degree. You know what I mean? Like there's a network, which is kind of fucking weird if you think about it, because the fact that there is a movie,
life imitating art, imitating life,
essentially emulating this scenario.
It's crazy
because John Wick is not part of any government at all. Like it's literally there's what they call them, almost like sacred ground, where when all these hitmen congregate at this hotel, the Continental, they cannot do anything to each other. Everything, like if you do, you can be excommunicated, which means bad shit for you, right? So I don't know. I feel really weird that we're going through the story, and now I remember in John Wick, and I'm like, that's kind of fucking strange. Makes you wonder if somebody at least had heard about
when did
this same scenario
come out.
It would be after this here.
Yeah.
It's actually really interesting now that I am again able to correlate it with this story.
Let me see here. Let me Google.
I mean, the first one's been
2014 as well. It's after
after
the assassination and everything. That's weird. Okay. Anyway, we're getting close to the end here. Everybody bear with us. The Redditors that discovered the source code began posting links to it on Reddit. Right. So now there's a trail that these guys who are also privy to Reddit are starting to see.
Yeah.
Some of the posts working at the hitting meanings, such as acronyms like we talked before, began to link up with timings of numerous posts and world events. This eventually led so people were going through and linking up.
So they're linking more.
Yes. This eventually led to Redditors beginning to link up the January post with the assassination of Al-Mabua, which then was posted online for anyone to read. So, almost immediately after this happened, the code for Lake City Quiet Pills was changed and completely encrypted. What had once been easy to read messages now become a frustrating series of numbers and symbols.
Good job, guys. Good job.
When Redditors began working at deciphering that, it was re-encrypted, becoming too convoluted to translate. It's almost like confirmation.
Oh, 100%.
Like, hey, they cracked us. They posted it. We're going to code it.
Yep.
They're trying to crack the code. We're going to code it again.
Yep.
Shortly after that, the website was taken offline for good. New curators of the site decided to change it to a new host. The website, once known as Lake City Quiet Pills, was then gone for good, right as the mystery was being born.
Remnants of Egress.
It's crazy. So since it's unfolded, people they don't know if it's a hoax, which if it is a well-planned motherfucker. To go all the way back to 2001 to hoax itself all the way into a legit assassination in 2010.
And multiple at that.
Yeah, is crazy. Crazy. Some believe it's an elaborate stunt meant to make internet users famous, but if they did...
Nobody got famous.
No.
I don't think... I mean, I'm just going to be blunt. Those people are assholes.
Yeah.
The ones that like never want anything to be real. I'm smarter than you. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And if it was just some ploy to fool everybody, like the fact that they had to plant seeds so far in the future,
that still deserves a bravo.
And then more so to immediately shut it down once it breaks on the internet.
Once it gets caught. Come on.
Come on. So, like, it runs all the gamuts of internet mysteries, right? Like, it's just a hoax to make people famous. It's an ARG, yada, yada, yada. it's, I don't know. Why would someone spend so much time like trying to, there's not even really like puzzles. It's just a code. And then as soon as someone discovers it, just shut it down. Like, get the fuck out of here. Right. It's fucking,
I love it.
It's crazy.
I love it.
So we kind of left as we started, which is fucking who knows what the fuck happened. It was Lake City Quiet Pills was shut down for good in 2014. People are still actively trying to crack the case. You can go on YouTube and there's YouTubers that say they've cracked it, they've linked it to this person or they've linked it to that person, and then other people debunk that. And it's like a classic internet mystery. We still do not know who Milo is. We don't know who Angel 26 is. We don't know who any of the operatives that were posting candidly on the HDMI or HTML codes, who they were. They don't know who the operatives were that carried out the assassination. But it's hard to not speculate that these two didn't line up, right? What else? I've got some other notes here. Let me look. Angel 26, known on Reddit. A couple Reddit users believed that they had located the person named Shade, the person who allegedly handed the calendar and controlled access to the file dump. They identified him as a man named Oscar that passed away in 2015, but that is pure speculation. Others, meanwhile, have made their mission to go throughout this history of the most notable individual, Religion of Peace. Web sleuths have pointed out that many of the individuals' comments don't make sense, at least in terms of timeline. They claim that they were born in 1930 and were 79 years old at the time of their death, but curious Redditors discovered a comment from 2007, which this user claimed that they were only 70. Again, that could just be internet jargon. People lie about shit on the internet all the time. Websites. One of the users posted the language used online of this user into the website You Classify, which analyzes the age of someone's internet language. This website hinted at a younger individual, someone in the age range of 36 to 50. But again, what does that even mean? Paired with the knowledge of this, that this user possessed intricate computer terminology as well as knowledge of modern military tactics and procedures, Religion of Peace were likely. They assumed that he was likely younger than 79 years old.
I could see it.
So,
because the whole, I mean, let's face it, the whole thing was a facade anyways.
Yeah.
So I could 100% see.
Maybe he just wanted out.
Maybe he was part of the shenanigans and that whole thing was nothing but a smoke screen saying you're this age. You know what I mean? And then because the whole basis was hidden behind a porn page.
Yeah.
And they had contingencies if they were to get caught. That's why they spoke in code. That's why it was hidden in a place where most people aren't going to fucking look.
Yep. One of the sources, it was Unsolved Mysteries Podcast. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they went into some good detail about how maybe the name Milo was an acronym. Specifically, Military Intelligence Liaison Officer.
That's a good one.
Which is a real thing, especially in like the realm of the United Kingdom and the MI5. They do have military intelligence liaison officers, which I don't know.
I could see it.
We are left kind of like the rest of the internet's left. You know, was this a covert cover operation?
100%
of assassins that just hung out on the like.
I'm in.
It's almost too fucking much to not be something. You know
I'm in. Mean? I'm even more weirded out that I thought about John Wick. It's so eerily close.
A pack of John Wicks.
It's so eerily close, man. The John Wick universe, the whole thing is just eerily similar to this situation. At least seemingly so. Because we don't actually know the inner workings of the organization and what actually happened, so on and so forth. We don't know. But it just feels very similar.
It's crazy.
It's fucking awesome is what it is.
But yes, that's it. You can virtually every internet mystery podcast ever in the history of the world has done a podcast on this subject. So you can find it anywhere.
I'll say, well, I guess we just jumped in the ranks.
We are in there now. And the information, a lot of the information is, I mean, it's the only information out there. So it's very similar. You can get on YouTube. There is a 27-minute video of not exactly the assassination, but all the CCTV footage. You can watch 27 minutes worth of
people following this guy.
Amabua coming in, checking in, all kinds of shit.
It's nuts.
Them going, changing their shit. It's some real
awesome
James Bond movie stuff.
That's awesome.
So again, thanks for choosing us to hang out and kick your work week off right. If you haven't listened to the first episode by this point, I don't know what to tell you. But check us out on all our socials and come and hang out till we meet again. Stay safe, stay weird, and if you're getting followed by a pack of assassins, don't call us because we're going to be no help.